Was cracking, everybody? New video. Well, getting ready to call it a night. Couldn't do it until I came out with a new video, and here it is. Old school raza versus new school raza. I've been scrolling around and, checking out, it's funny because as my channel has grown recently, I see a lot of channels taking shots, putting my name in their videos and, in their titles and trying to grow their channel that way, not through their content, but through my name. I don't see any longevity in that, but to each their own. This video is going to be more about just my input, my perspective on this this new era versus my era and eras before. Now, one thing that I want to make clear is every generation has always believed that the generation that came after them was watered down. That's the reality. I remember having, because it was a thing of mine, it started in YA, continued in the joint. I always looked to, sell up with vatos that were older than me, that were more seasoned, that had actually done shit, so that I can make sure that I'm learning rather than being in a cell with another vato my age and we're just there. You know what I'm saying? It was just something of mine. And because I always look to sell up with an older homie so I can get laced up, there would be those conversations, oh man, homie, you're freedman, but Vato's your age, and I'll be like, I'm pretty sure that's what your dad and your tío said about you though, like when I had an older celly, a lot older than me, and his thing was, and he was an extreme racist, and his thing was, oh man, all you Vatos, you act like blacks, you Vatos listen to rap music. I was like, name an oldies singer that's not black, and I told him, you told me that you went to a James Brown concert with your lady, on the streets, right? Imagine what your dad's generation was saying about you. The exact thing that you're saying about me and my generation. And so that's just the reality of it. So, but the thing was, what has I can't even get it out. What has transpired in these last 10 years maybe, and really accelerated over the last maybe 5 years. It's pretty much beyond comprehension. I always try to say, I know I'm a dinosaur, and this acceptance of, it's not even acceptance, this forfeiture of one's own culture to adopt another, hopefully it will end racism, but I don't see it as that. I don't know. I'm just so confused by it. I think at this point you have a lot of youngsters that are trying to be rebellious and forfeiting their culture. That's why I understand. Believe me, I understand when the blacks say that their culture is being stolen. When you have, like I see, most, well, pretty much 99% of vatos my age or older, when I have these videos that I put out about Swifty Blue, they're, like, he needs to learn, not in a bad way, but just embrace who he is and where he comes from, rather than what he's embracing that is outside of him and that doesn't embrace him. I really see how blacks are offended by when he says he would never sign to a black label, when he's got a grill in his mouth and he uses the N-word, he sags. There's really nothing about him that is that would make you feel like he's a representation of the raza, at least not to older cats. But I see a lot of the younger cats in some of these other channels. I see there, there's one in particular. He likes to put out a lot of stuff on Swifty and call Swifty the homie, and I see that that generation shows a lot of love and a lot of support to Swifty, right? I do not have anything against Swifty. I'm a content creator. He says stuff that allows myself and other people, and everybody always thinks it's me and just Gunner. It's not. Scroll through the videos. There's other raza making videos and speaking on the fact that what he does is pretty obnoxious, pretty far-fetched, but people his age, and I believe in similar circumstances as him, basically meaning hangers on, not people who are really really using them guns and really fully dedicated to the barrio the way other people are. The ones that are hangers on are fascinated by his ways, by his flashy style, and I don't get it. I don't get it, but to each their own. And I have to, again, realize that my generation was judged by the generation before us. Swifty's like 2 generations after me, right? I just can't wrap my head around the whole Edgar thing that these vatos are doing. Raza always had, really good, when they did get ink, they got really good ink, right? And I see these vatos getting ink that isn't, everything about it is so different. But I do want to tell you guys this. I told this story before, and I'll tell it again here. I remember when I went to the joint, first started my term. I was on the yard. I was on B yard in New Folsom. That's the first, after Wasco, I went there. Okay. And I happened to be standing there talking to a few vatos. And I was a YA dude. I had been a YA. I still was had a lot of knucklehead in me. And I'm standing there, and this vato comes walking up. And bigger dude, and he walked up, and I remember he had a little bag made that the paisas used to make them to carry your ID, right? We have to have our ID on us, and he had his ID in there. It was a little, like a mesh bag that was braided, but he also had a stack of photo ducats. That was before they took the cameras off the 180s, right? The level 4s, and he had a stack of photo ducats, and ducats were $2 a piece, so. It was a way of flossing. And so one of the homies was right there, and he was like, "Damn, homie, how many fucking photo ducats you got?" And he was like, "Oh my," and he used the N-word. And when he said that, I looked like, what the fuck? And me being a YA dude, YA was more, you can do whatever, whenever. The joint's different. But my first thought was when he said the N-word and was the way he was talking, because I never met the vato. I was like, what the fuck? I took a step back. Like, I thought somebody was going to slap him, because that's what would have happened in YA. Somebody would have slapped the fucking teeth out of his head, right? And when that didn't happen, I looked around at all the vatos that were right there that I felt like, well, these vatos are cool with that. And I said, I ain't talking to these vatos no more. And I walked off. That vato's road dog, I heard him and his road dog talking one day, and they were both using the N-word. I had never heard that shit before then and after those two vatos. But I'm going to tell you something. It was about a week later, maybe a little bit longer. I was sitting on the yard next to an OG. And this dude had been doing prison time since the 70s, right? San Quentin in the 70s. Big ass vato, big old whip. And he had a lot of juice, a lot. And a lot of people would stay away from him because he was always like a real bitter dude. Me, I was a quiet kid, so I used to fuck with him and make him laugh. And so he took a liking to me. He was sitting at the table and I was sitting at the table. And those two vatos that I heard use the N-word, and everybody could hear him use the N-word. The old man was sitting next to me on the table, and he was watching them. And you could see his wheels were turning. He was watching them with complete hatred in his eyes. And he said something that I know he didn't realize he vocalized. It was supposed to be up in here. He was watching them and he goes, those motherfuckers are through. And I just kept looking straight ahead like I didn't hear nothing. Then he looked at me like, oh shit, I said that out loud. He looked at me and I said, all right, homie, I'll holler at you later. I got up and walked away. It's not my business. And when I tell you that within 6 months, both of those dudes got whacked and everybody knew they got played. They had a dope habit. That old man had the bag and he waited for him. And when they had to go to him for dope, whether they really paid or not, it was irrelevant. So I say that to just point out that, you know, these vatos that conduct themselves that way, if you plan on staying on the streets your whole life, then that's your business. But you plan on going behind those walls, if you're really going to be with the functions and you're going to go behind those walls, believe that there's other old men just like that. When they hear you speak a certain way, when they see you dress in a certain way, if they feel it's a way that is not up to their standards, be careful. You know, me personally, I don't wish harm on nobody. You know, like I said, I make the content that I make, and it's entertainment. You know, at the end of the day, I wish everybody well, but I do find it strange that, you know, our gente, our people, the estilo that we had was always so unique, especially just the California estilo. It didn't matter from Northern California, Southern California. People knew you were from California just by the way you dressed and conducted yourself. That's gone. That's gone. And this whole new hybrid thing is seems to be the new norm, and I don't get it. You know, like I said, there was an old look and then a new look. There's an old way of thinking and conducting yourself and a new way. I'm nobody to say what's better and what's not, because shit, I threw the majority of my life away. A lot of these kids that are this new era, regardless of how funny they look to me in my old dinosaur eyes, their asses are staying on the streets and they're getting money. Hopefully, they also get happiness and peace in the heart, because that's what's the most important. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this into a close. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, share it with somebody. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. More importantly, be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.